years ago where you aired out the then nascent Tea Party and called them what they were.
Racist.
And you called them that, and I think this is still resonating in that community as if you said it yesterday.
Yeah.
Do you take pride in this?
Well, I do not enjoy when people don't like me. I would prefer to be well-liked in any and all situations. And I also feel it's quite unjust to be punished for calling racism racism. And I don't know why so few people, especially back then, a couple of years ago, were willing to say that word. It is unfortunately not only a part of the fabric of this country from its founding, racism, not just our country, but there's been oppression in any country, any era. There has been racism in our country since its founding. It would be odd if it didn't exist now that we have a black president. That would be weird. And when anybody says to me, what makes you think the Tea Party is racist? What makes you think they aren't? How is it that one of the first Tea Party gatherings was on Inauguration Day? What job that he had been doing were they upset with?
Didn't like the transition.
Apparently. How is it that the Southern Poverty Law Center has been tracking, spiking in these hate groups and racist motivated crimes since he announced, you know what I mean, all this activity? If John McCain had won, we would have never heard the word Tea Party. Now, some of it is because of a Democrat, and as you know, the blood sport of the Republicans is to be intractably against anything a Democrat would say. But if it was a white Democrat, you couldn't get so many Tea Party people so upset about whatever it is they're upset about, showing up armed to town hall meetings. And by the way, if a black person showed up armed at a town hall meeting where a white politician was speaking, we'd be on lockdown, martial law, and we'd never hear the end of it.
So on Tuesday, we talked about the black man who showed up in Arizona where President Obama was speaking, armed to the teeth. I know this. But this leads me to MSNBC, where on Tuesday, Contessa Brewer filed a report about health care protesters showing up armed. In it, she used tape of that same black guy with the rifle and said this.
And the reason we're talking about this, a lot of talk here, Dylan, because people feel like, yes, there are Second Amendment rights for sure, but also there are questions about whether this has racial overtones. I mean, here you have a man of color in the presidency and white people showing up with guns strapped to their waist.
But like I said, the guy was black, but you never would have known because MSNBC had strategically edited the tape, so the race of the armed dude wasn't revealed. Now take a look at the tape we used of the guy from Tuesday. Now clearly you can see the man who goes by the name Chris and that he's African American. Now here's what MSNBC did.
Obama addressed the veterans of foreign wars in Phoenix.
Awesome. So why did MSNBC go way out of its way to obliterate the race of Chris? Because it didn't fit the story MSNBC wanted to tell. That if you disagree with Obama, you must be a white crazy person with guns, even if you're black. Look, there were millions of people angry at Bush, and the media never seemed to worry if their own vicious anti-Bush rhetoric would foment hate. Even more, I kind of resent that my opinion, enraged or not, can be dismissed as racism. Fact is, I've been against Obama's policies back when they were Hillary's, and even before that when they were Ted Kennedy's and Jimmy Carter's. Wrong-headedness knows no color, which is...
And it's clearly a limbic brain thing. It's not a populist movement. It's not a fiscally upset movement. It's a movement, and that's the rationalization that it's something other than racism.
Right. It doesn't have to make any sense to anybody but them, and they reach for it. It's like, okay, we don't like them because of health care reform, which helps all of us here.
Which we would benefit from.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a self-defeating thing.
Death panels, birthers, the birth certificate, this nonsense. And from what I've heard, John McCain actually was not born in this country. Is that right?
He was born in the Canal Zone.
He was born...
So he technically is. That's considered...
But what I'm saying is he technically wasn't born
he was
in
not born
America.
He was not born in the continental United States.
Right.
Right.
I don't know who has a problem with that.
Well, isn't that not the essence of the Republican sort of mirror, that anything that they're actually that anybody in the Republican Party or conservative movement is guilty of?
You accuse the other
exactly.
of it. Right. Rick Santorum with his comments about.
One can only guess.
How about Rick Perry? We have to stop apologizing
Yes.
to liberals for our beliefs. We have to stop trying to curry favor with them.
Yeah. That's right.
It is absurd to me to, and he knows he's lying. The liberal media trope that has always been a myth that is leveled at someone, and unfortunately, a lot of people in the media will back away from being perceived as many.
Many.
Right. All. Until recently.
Right here. I'm the liberal media.
Right. Until recently, and like The Nation, when they say that great liberal media bias you can't find anywhere else.
Exactly.
There is no liberal media bias. There's never been a liberal president. There's never been a liberal machine in power, per se. And you're quite right. Anything that the right-wingers are doing, you will know what they're doing by what they accuse their opponent of doing.
An illegitimate president. This is an illegitimate president.
Right.
What is that? That is a mirror of George Bush and the election.
Who was installed in a legal Supreme Court by Antonin Scalia and Clarence Thomas should have recused themselves since they had family members working on the Bush campaign.
Exactly. Now that's an